Who was that? The country western song?
That's my work holiday. I don't do that stuff.
Amarillo.
I don't know. Something.
Well, they never faced Amarillo until they got that part of the ambulance.
I'm gonna give it to my work holiday.
They switched
So
about
what
that.
are they charging
He'd
you?
been driving from Tyler all the way up, 2 hours or 3 hours.
I don't have that. So it's either text or
She got tired. She had been sleeping in the passenger side the whole time. She said, I'm wide awake.
the orange one.
And so she took off. Okay. And, the people were the pressure was sleeping in the front seat. And the boy was asleep in the next seat. And I'm watching the puppy walk off the and she was trying to wake her mom up, and the cars were going off the road. Mom, wake up, wake up. And no one woke up until the anyway, the seatbelt really hurt Chris. And so that's what his problem is. They had to put a plate on the back and put some screws on it. But he's going to be okay. He said the seatbelt may have caused the break. See? Yeah. They had this Honda CRV had the side buttons on it, and that really protected everybody. All the airbags went off.
So that's an important part.
I know, right?
She was asleep. So she was just doing it. She didn't break it. Now they're all asleep, except for the girl. She reached over to pick up the puppy, and maybe that protected her from flying glass. Yeah, all the kids are great. The son only had a tiny little scratch. Mom had a cut on her leg. But he was the worst one. Everybody else all of them. People I know in Alaska were flying airplanes and stuff. I lost a lot of people. Couldn't see how it was up. Driving since he got off work. She's it's just really boring. You know, curves in the highway. Just get done in that pipe line with you almost hit the top. Put some curves in just to keep it alert. It's flat. Eastern part of the coverage is you get an all-star wrestler or something. I tell you about that in the conference this last week. Association. Me and whoever should have the ones that got them off here. They don't want to hear they shouldn't come. excited. This is a different talk when you get that. So this one's going to be about this thing. So I love some of the rights and responsibilities to you, much as given, much as that's what I and I think sometimes we've actually let our churches without requiring take this church. The church that are more than some level, brought me some salt.
Hey, this baby right here. Tyler, right here.
We did say hello. Whatever trick is in. Open marquee and stand there. Yep. Apparently she works right
Hey, Megan, how are you?
I say close like right down the insurance out because we got it still no bank is perfect. I bet people would like to be around some speed. But those kind of things. Yeah. It's the way it is. So who's the president?
Thank you.
Well, she's the president.
Hey, Diane, did you meet Dan? Well, kind of. We chatted.
Dan Hill. Yeah. I'm a Rotarian from way back. So 35 years, I usually should. But I was president-elect in my club in Alaska. And so, yeah. But then God called us to mission, so there wasn't any Rotary. There probably was, but just didn't know about them overseas. And so it's been a long time, and I really should join. So.
But not only Rotary.
Yeah. Yeah, I was president-elect of both, and I ran all the 4th of July activities. And we had the big salmon bake and all those kind of things that we did to raise money for the Rotary. Yep.
We have some folks that don't attend yet, so we YouTube it live, so that's what this is. So I will keep, don't worry, you do what you need to do while the cameras need to be. The only thing I ask you is because they won't do it.
Absolutely.
I forgot that. That's important.
It is. Yeah.
All right, it's about that time.
Really?
12:05.
Is that right?
That's what time I start.
Darn, I thought we had one more time here. You're right, though.
Some of those are nutritional. Yeah, like you're eating ice cream. Yeah. Not this one. No, it's an ice cream. Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I feel like telling everybody to come forward because we're a little spaced out today, but that's all right. So welcome. Tim Rollins, will you lead us in our invitation, please?
Would you pray with me, please? Gracious Heavenly Father, what a privilege we have that we meet in your house, to work, be here, safe in this country. We give you thanks for Rotary and help us that we may understand and how we can serve our community and improve it to be more as you would have the world to be. We ask these things in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Courtney, would you introduce our guest, please?
Hello, yes, today we have Joe Martell. He is a guest of Rob Chapman's today. We wanted to join us again this year, and he is a because we want him to read to us.
Is that it?
That's it.
Wow.
Does anybody else need them?
Bill Cooks. And we'll turn it over to Bill Cooks for our sports moment.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Just a couple of little quick local notes, and we'll move on. But TJC's football team is playing spring season right now. It's kind of unusual, but it's what it is. current world we live in. They played 8 games, and they played Kilgore Saturday at 3 o'clock. There are taking fans. It's an outdoor event, so it's a pretty good show for something to do on Saturday. The weather's good. TJC and Kilgore, the Rangerettes and Patchy Bells, and a little spring football, so that might be kind of fun. It's here, yes, at Rose Stadium, so that's something to keep in mind. And the junior college, I didn't mean for it to be all TJC today, but on a local note, the junior college national tournaments are going on. The women play in Lubbock, Tyler, and Trinity Valley are in that event, and the men play in Hutchinson, Kansas, kind of the legendary tournaments. Been over 70 years there. Kilgore and Trinity Valley, they're the Apache men didn't make it this year, but just a couple of local things to keep in mind that's going on right now. Gorgeous, lovely afternoon. Thanks a lot. Tyler's got some.
Mind you that Saturday, May the 1st, is the annual St. Joe 10K fun run.
Yeah, and I need to run. You can look at me and tell that would be a fan. Yeah, Tyler's an NBA, he's a Spurs fan. Who do I give this to now? Bring it up?
Just bring it on up front.
Okay, all right. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Bill. So we have, Johnny's not here today, he's out of town traveling for business, so instead of doing our traditional Rotary spotlight, since I think most folks in here have already been spotlighted in some shape, fashion, or form, I thought I'd talk about some good news that we have for some of our members. If you didn't see the bulletin, or if you did, you're going to get to hear it again. Congratulations to Nick Messina. He was accepted into the Texas Opportunity and Justice Incubator, which is the flagship program of the State Bar of Texas addressing the justice gap. And that means he's going to get to launch his own law firm, Messina Law Firm. Tiffany Damsco, who we haven't seen a lot of lately, she's got a lot of other stuff going on, recently started a new position as the director of 211. Some of you may be familiar with 211, it's housed with United Way, and it's an agency that is free, anonymous, and it's a referral service that's available to anybody 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and it helps connect people with critical social services and charitable programs that are available in the local community. So congratulations to Tiffany. Johnny Ortiz, who's not here, some of you guys may know, he's very active in Toastmasters, and he finished first place in the Eastern Division Spring 2021 Toastmaster International Speech Contest. He advances to the next level. Congratulations, Johnny. And then two of our members are also officers in the City of Tyler Police. And in March, they had an award ceremony, and Lieutenant Luke Schaefer, who's here, received the Sworn Supervisor of the Year Award. Woo! And Sergeant Chuck Boyce received the Certificate of Civic Achievement for being a member of the Critical Incident Stress Management Team, an instructor for Citizen Active Shooter courses, and the main organizer of the Blue Santa. So congratulations to all those folks on their good news and awards. Encourage you guys, if you hear any other good news, pass it along to Megan so she can put it on the bulletin. We'd like to celebrate our members when they do something great, which we all do every day. Okay. Another celebration today, he doesn't know I'm going to do this, Dave Roberts. I have something for you. Last year you donated money to go to the next level of Paul Harris Health, and I have your pen. So come on up.
I really forgot all about that.
Well, you know, I was excited to see you because I keep on forgetting to do it. Please come on up. So when you said that you wanted to know about the next level, I was like, well, I'm going to give you some good news, and then Lee's going to talk to you a little bit more about some of the way to move forward.
Thank you very much. Can I do the honor?
You could do that.
Standing.
You know, if you use that mallet, it'll go in a lot
For those of you, I'm pretty certain most of you guys in the room know what this means. Paul Harris Fellows is, actually today is Paul Harris's birthday. He was born on this day. He's the creator and founder of Rotary. And as a way to honor him and what he's contributed to the organization. Paul Harris Fellows is a designation for members who contribute $1,000 or more to the Rotary Foundation. And every time you reach that $1,000 level, you increase in sapphires on your pen. All right, so congratulations,
Okay,
Katie.
thank you very
You
much.
can have a seat, but I'm gonna let Lee talk for just a minute.
Maybe 30 seconds.
All right, are we timing it?
Yeah. Tom Lewis's not here, but just a reminder, we've got the matching points promotion going on from April 1st to the end of May. I have the club report, if anyone else is interested in getting their numbers on their Paul Harris status, or they may be close to the next one. Any donation of $100 or more will get matching points during this period of time, so that's a good deal. And if you have any questions, give me a shout. Yes, sir. I've got a question.
How many thousands of dollars do you think South Powder Rotary has contributed to the foundation? Is there any way to find that?
I can answer that. It's $190,562.02.
Wow, 2 cents.
2 cents.
That
190,000.
That was yours?
2 cents worth.
That was my answer. 2 cents.
Nearly $200,000.
190,562. We're close to 200,000.
Yes.
Thanks, man.
When we get 200,000, I think we ought to put that in the paper and have a party.
Okay. That'll happen during Beth's year's event. Did you get that? When we hit 200,000, put it in the paper? And speaking of Beth, do you want to talk to me about spaghetti supper? And while you're on your way up, Courtney, did you, and Dalton, did you have any announcements today? While they're on the way up, Jared, do you want to speak today? Okay. I mentioned this last week. I think most of you were here, but I'm going to send the sign-up sheet around. Again, we're looking at getting back to our traditional meals, hopefully by the beginning of May. But to do so, we need some folks to help with meal setup. Carol can no longer be here during our meetings because of a work obligation. So we need a couple of folks to help her out. We have a few folks already signed up, and if you're interested, sign up, and we'll get in touch with you with more information. Beth.
Thank you, Diane. So the donations are starting to come in, sponsorship money is rolling in for spaghetti. I just want to say again, just so that everyone's more clear on how we're doing it this year, it's going to be different. We're going to start about 7 in the morning with prep, so we're going to need about 10 or so volunteers to work with us in the kitchen. I met with our food committee, and we're really being very mindful of food safety issues, not that we are always, but because of the delivery aspect of it, we're really wanting to make sure that there's no problems or issues with food safety. So we have specific times. It'll be around 10 o'clock is when we can start packaging the salads and then getting the meals boxed and ready for the noontime Meals on Wheels. Megan is working with the nonprofits to work out the details on that. We will be serving Meals on Wheels and Gateway to Hope Highway 80 mission at the noontime. And then we will be running the food bank, there you go, food, what do they call it? I'm blanking. It's not been my best day today, I'm a little flustered. But we'll be at the Salvation Army taking meals to them for their 4:30 service. So anyone working in the kitchen with the food prep should be done, by 4 o'clock. Then cleanup should easily be done about an hour after that. So it is really going to be an all-day effort. It will be done earlier this year than we have in years past. But just go out there and get those sponsorships. I think it's a little bit different message this year when we're not selling a ticket. So we really have to bring that message home to testify how we are serving the community and in the response to COVID and still be able to have our fundraiser. So if I have any questions, let me know. If there's a specific area you want to serve and you haven't already given that to me, please just let me know. And we're a month and a day away, so let's go raise the money. Okay, I'm just announcing the Cal Lake Foundation, of course, Mr. Lake, longtime member, is having the 15th annual Memorial Golf Tournament, and I am going to pass around a volunteer sign-up sheet for that. It's going to be at the Cascades this year on Monday, May 3rd, so it's in a couple of weeks, but they asked if I would pass that around, and they only need a total of 7 volunteers, so hopefully we can get all our volunteers today, and Dalton can also pass that around. So that's it.
And I still need probably one more person who's willing to serve on the committee to review the nominations for the end of the year awards that we're going to be giving out this year. And then next week, I'm going to have forms to pass around to everybody so that we can start getting nominations in for the various awards that we're going to decide to offer. So just wanted to make y'all aware, and it looks like we've got our one more volunteer for the committee, so we're good to go.
Okay, we've got a new announcement about a service project. We are going to be working with PATH on Saturday, May the 8th. So we're going to be painting either an apartment or a rent home. So we're going to be getting dirty. And if you're interested in doing something like that, it's going to be a Saturday morning. I can't imagine it will be done any later than really lunchtime, but I would say 2 in the afternoon at the latest. But Saturday morning where you can get dirty, get some rooms painted, and have some fun together. So let me know if you got any questions about that or if you're interested in doing it. There is limited space, but we can make room for a lot of people. Thank you all.
Thanks, Dalton. I do want to commend Beth for being here today. She moved every weekend into a new house, and she's got spaghetti supper going on, and she's a new grandmother. So thank you for. And then I texted her over the weekend and said, "Hey, can you do treasurer duties? Because Tom Steele can't do it, and Michael Hurley can't do it, and Tom DeWitt's out of town, and she's the only other person that's done it." So that being said, if you're interested in learning how to be a backup treasurer for the days that maybe Tom Steele, who's now retired, can't be here, please let Tom Steele know, because the more people who help out, the easier it is on all of us when somebody can't be here. All right, I believe that is all of the announcements. Oh, Jeff Cummings is not here. We put it on the calendar on the bulletin. We're going to have a social on Tuesday, April 27th. It's over at True Vine Brewery. He's got it advertised starting around 4 to 9. You don't have to be there the whole time. This is kind of just a come and go social. I believe that True Vine has a taco truck there from 5:30 to 9 on Tuesday. So this is just an opportunity for our members to get together. We haven't had a chance to socialize. It's an outdoor area, so we don't have to worry about masks or we have some distance with other folks. So we hope everybody can come out. It's family friendly. It's actually dog friendly, I believe. Anybody who's gone out there can tell me if it's dog friendly. I think so. I think I've seen it. So,
They have a dog park.
Huh?
They have a little dog
Okay, they have a little dog park. So it's just a great opportunity. I think the weather will be great, and you can all come out and just hang out, and have a drink, and something to eat, a taco or two. Tuesday, April 27th, 2 weeks from, no, 1 week from tomorrow. I'm trying to make April last a lot longer. I'm really glad for it to be gone. I was just going to look through the list real quick. Lee Montgomery is starting his 18th year with the organization. I think he's the only one who's here. Chris McClary, he had a birthday yesterday, right? He's like, what? We're not going to sing to you, I promise. All right. Any other announcements from the floor? Seeing none, I'm going to pass it over to Art to introduce our guest speaker.
All right. Well, today we are going to learn about, our speaker is going to help us learn about the financial ins and outs of nonprofits, churches, orphanages, and such as that. All nonprofits depend on donations from their members, donations from those that care about the cause of the nonprofit, agree with it, and want to support it. So those dollars, those donations become really, really valuable. As we know right here in Rotary, we're the same way. Our speaker is Dan Hilden, and he is an expert in these matters and is a certified auditor who specializes in nonprofits. Now, Dan is the executive director of CAST, C-A-S-T, which stands for Christ-Centered Administrative Services Team, task. And he's traveled to 55 countries as a financial trainer, while in Alaska, working for a local bank in Alaska for some time. He was actually running the bank, doing everything from loans to new deposits. And he was president-elect of the Petersburg Rotary and the Petersburg Chamber of Commerce. I got that right?
You did.
So now he contracts with nonprofits to train, identify inefficiencies, and also deal in fraud protection, which is very important. So today he's going to be speaking to us about donors and their Bill of Rights. Donors' Bill of Rights. Welcome, Dan Hilden.
Thank you, Mark. Really do appreciate that. He didn't tell you how we got to meet each other, but I grew up in North Dakota, and I won't talk like that around you boys. But North Dakota is my home, and I grew up learning how to drive on frozen lakes. And so he wanted to get around to his businesses a couple months ago, and so I ended up driving him around town in my North Dakota pickup out there. And since I know how to drive on ice and snow, that became kind of an easy thing. So I grew up in North Dakota, moved to Alaska, managed a bank up there, and then we had a very boring speaker come to our church in Alaska. He talked about the need for financial people to go overseas and help with the finances. Lots of people planning churches, but no one to do finances. So he was so boring that I decided that it certainly wasn't anything to do with the speaker. It certainly was God that was speaking to my heart. And I felt a call to missions, and so for 33 years, my wife and I served with the International Mission Board. Started out in Botswana, Africa, so if anyone speaks Setswana, I'll be glad to greet you. But spent about 10 years there, 12 years in Kenya, and 13 years in Thailand. But during my time doing that, I also did financial accountability around the world to make sure that the International Mission Board, their dollars that were given to them were used for the purpose they were intended. And I would love to tell you, really would love to tell you that I've never caught anyone doing fraud. But about 1 out of every 20 examinations I did, someone got a one-way ticket home. And then when I came home, retired, about 5 years ago, I retired from international work. Lee Gibson was one of my supporters. Lee's the president of Southside Bank. And he put me to work at Southside Bank, and I thought I could just kind of blend back into the wall. And no leadership roles. I didn't want to do any more leadership. I've had enough of doing leadership. And I just wanted to just get a paycheck, go home, and relax. And then I had this one guy come to me and he said, Dan, you've been in Africa. And I said, yeah, I spent 22 years in Africa. He said, we have an orphanage in Uganda. I said, oh no. He said, why do you say oh no? I said, because I used to audit orphanages and I didn't have very good success with that. He said, well, we've invested about $3 million in an orphanage in a country in Africa. And I got to looking at it with him and saw that they had lost every dollar of that money was gone. It was because there was no accountability. The heart was right. They wanted to give. They wanted to help those orphans in Africa. Those kids came over here and they sang in their church. And they said, we've got to help these orphans. So they gave graciously. But without accountability, that money was lost. They said, Dan, will you become the executive director of our group? And I said, no, because when you build something on sand, it's just going to keep on sinking. If you want to build something right, I'll tell you how to build it right. I'll tell you how to give properly so you can help kids. But you certainly don't want to just give thousands and thousands of dollars, in this case millions of dollars, to an orphanage in Africa without accountability. I can't tell you how many orphanages I looked at. One had 3 sets of books. One set of books was for the Americans, another set for the Europeans, another set for the Australians. And if Australian volunteers came to visit them, they would pull out the Australian set of receipts, but the very same book for all the expenses. And the Australians would go, look at that. You're losing money. How can you continue to do like that? And so that they say, oh, we just have to pull it out of our own pockets. But they were actually, when the Americans would come, they brought out that set of books. When the Europeans would come, they brought out that set of books. So he's actually making 2 times as much as what he needed to do the orphanage, and the rest went into his pocket. These temptations are hard to deal with. And did I thank you, Art? Thank you so much for inviting me out. I'm glad I could come. But sometimes those kind of things really hurt me. Then I started asking questions. How many churches or how many nonprofits actually have somebody like me look at their books on an annual basis? Surely, every church has in their constitution, we will have an annual examination by an independent examiner or an auditor, right? Isn't that in every constitution? I think it is. But only 1 out of every 20 churches actually has anybody look at their books. So we've got a terrible deficit. Now, if I were to ask you, how many of you trust your bookkeeper? How many trust the person doing your finances? It would be just like a show of hands. Everybody in the room would raise your hand, right? But if I were to ask you, how many of those treasurers are no longer capable of being tempted? How many of them are incapable of sinning in the rest of their life? Every single hand should come down. Accountability is the glue that holds your organization together. Nothing does worse for your organization to find out that you have been giving $500 a year to some project, only to find out somebody has been using that on a trip to the Caribbean. I worked for the Small Business Administration for a small time during the PPP crisis and all that kind of stuff. And I was one of their advanced agents helping people with their PPP loans and things like that. I can tell you sometimes I heard splashing water behind the Caribbean hotel as they talked about their 15 businesses that they were getting money for. It's not always like that. Now, where's that little button? Here it is. Now, in Rotary, you give. When I was in Rotary, we gave. We had a big fish bake every year. We raised money for a children's hospital. We did a lot of things. We volunteered. We gave our time and our efforts. And you guys, you give. I think you're almost close to $200,000 you gave to the one organization. Well done. We give. And so today I'd like to talk to you about a donor's bill of rights. What is your right? And what is your responsibility as a donor to that organization? One of the main reasons I find that churches do not have someone look at their books or help their treasurer and protect their staff is because no donor asks for it. We give. I tithe. I like to tithe. It's my worship experience with my church. But I've asked my church, where is our financial exam? Who's looked at our books? Well, could you do that, Dan? No, because I'm not independent. I give here. I want an independent person to come in and look at our books. It's in our Constitution. We should have it. We should do it. So I think that's kind of how it is with a lot of us when we're here to give. But philanthropy is actually based on voluntary action for the common good. It's a tradition of giving and sharing that is primary to the quality of life. To assure that philanthropy merits the respect and trust of the general public, and that donors and prospective donors can have full confidence in the nonprofit organizations and causes they are asked to support, we declare that all donors have these rights. You can look that up in Google if you want. You can say Donor Bill of Rights, and you'll get this full list. But one of the things that we have, number 3 and number 4 on the Bill of Rights, there's 10 like the 10 Commandments. To assess, to have access to the organization's most recent financial statements. And number 4, to be assured that their gifts will be used for the purpose for which they're given. You as donors have a right to ask about that. Ask the question, I'm planning to give. Now, Giving Day is coming up right around the corner, I believe. It is next Tuesday, April 27th. And there's like 252 organizations that are listed in the East Texas Community Foundation, right? What would happen if you called them, some of them that you're planning on giving, and you asked that question? When is our last financial exam from an independent examiner? When's that last one? You might be surprised. I know I was surprised when I came back to the States. A lot of things surprised me. I've lived overseas for 33 years. But one of the things that really surprised me is nobody is looking at these donation books. And even on the news, you'll see over and over again. First Baptist Church Houston, $1 million. I've done the 3 million Uganda case, and I did a Bible camp case that was over $550,000. I did in Huntsville, a church there, Elkins Lake Baptist Church, got hit for $569,000 of fraud. Lady been there 25 years. Nice lady. But she was taking money, and the money could have gone to help churches. So it's just one of those things that you just don't know until you have a chance to look at stuff. Get the wrong button. So what is assurance? How do we know we're really being assured? Now, what we were told today when you came up here was we have a giving project. I think Dalton talked about going and painting the house. That's a great thing to do. Well, there's very little finances involved that you go and you volunteer and you help. That's okay. But when we give $200,000 to somebody, I think you have a right to know, is that actually being used for the purpose we gave it? You have a right, as a donor, to ask that question. Culturally, it is difficult for you. American culture doesn't like to ask that kind of financial question. It's almost like I don't trust somebody who might ask that question. But actually, you should ask those kind of questions. So, an annual financial exam. Now, the word audit, do we have any CPAs here today? Any CPAs? So we have a CPA, okay.
Ex-CPA.
Oh, thank you, I love you. No, actually, CPAs are my heroes. They're like the gold standard. But the word audit, for a lot of CPAs, is kind of a reserved word that only a CPA can use. Because they're licensed to do attestation services. But actually, every test case that's come up for CPAs using the word audit as their own word has always failed in court. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Independently verified financial statements. Making sure that not just the treasurer verifies it, but that somebody outside the organization with objective eyes looks at that set of books. This lady down in Huntsville, she hadn't posted anything through her bookkeeping system for 5 years. Not a single thing. Every finance committee meeting, every board of director meeting they got together, there was financial reports for them to look at. Every case there was, the reports indicated that they were a little bit short on giving and long on expenses. But she was stealing $100,000 a year from that organization. If you don't verify it, you're opening the door for that person to be tempted. I want to protect nonprofit staff so that they'll get tempted wrongly to take money that's not theirs. Accountability is that glue that really holds an organization together. Let me tell you a little bit about fraud risk assessment before we go on. Did you do auditing as a CPA, or you're an auditor? So basically, that's what I am as an internal auditor, but I'm a certified fraud examiner. And so where I start, and where a CPA should start when they come to your company, is they should do a fraud risk assessment. A fraud risk assessment is 15 different modules, each have about 10 to 12 questions. And in that, it's just a question and answer period with them. I will talk to them about where their internal controls are. Where is your greatest vulnerability to fraud? If I ask the question, does the person who writes your checks also do your bank reconciliation? If that is the case, you don't have separation of duties. And I can tell you over and over again, I've seen people writing checks to themselves and treating it as a repair bill for the air conditioning. The reconciliation is done, everybody's happy, it looks like we spent a lot of money on fixing the aircon. But the check was actually written to the person, or to their son, or to the husband, or somebody else. It's one of those things that if you're not careful, fraud, that temptation can come in. Now we're going to send this lady in Huntsville to jail. She's probably going to get 15 to 20 years in jail. Is that what I want? No. I'd rather that she knew that there was protection for her. Someone like me was coming, knocking on the door once a year, looking at those receipts down to the source documents and saying, this is being used for the purpose intended. And that's what I want. I want to see nonprofits flourish. I want to see our giving efforts actually impact the people that we're trying to help, not fraud. So what assurance is not this. So let's tell you what assurance is not. You're going to get this a lot. You're going to get a spreadsheet from the bookkeeper. How many know how to run Excel spreadsheets? You know, you can put anything you want in an Excel spreadsheet. Anything. I can make your business look very profitable right now. 5 minutes, I'll put the spreadsheet up. You're great. They can sell this, but a spreadsheet report is not a report. It's just a bunch of numbers. If you don't verify those numbers as a board of director, then you have some real problems. Sometimes we get those trust me statements. The lady down in Huntsville told the finance committee, told the church. Someone said, our Constitution says we need to have an audit once a year. And she said, and the numbers are the numbers. You're not going to find anything different. You're just going to waste $5,000 spending on some person from North Dakota to come down here and look at the books. This is a ridiculous waste of money. We should be using this for ministry. While she was putting the money in her pocket. So, it's a response. Now, sometimes I get this. We don't want to have an audit. We don't want an examination because that would show a distrust in our bookkeeper. But actually, it's not a matter of trust. It's a matter of responsibility. It is the responsibility of your bookkeeper to actually post those books. It is the responsibility of your treasurer to actually produce financial reports. But it is the responsibility of the board of directors or the finance committee to verify what those reports actually are. So how many of you speak Russian? Anybody speak Russian? So the Russian statement is "Dobryai, Dobryai." Okay, which basically Ronald Reagan has translated into trust but verify. So he used this with Gorbachev as they were doing their negotiations to say, yeah, we're going to trust you on the missile deal, but we're going to also verify. In nonprofit work, what I like to talk about is trust and verify. You can trust someone and verify. I taught algebra, high school algebra. I got tired of correcting homework, okay? So what I had to do is I had each of my students sit on one side and on the other every week. They knew they were going to sit beside me. And I would tell them, I want you to do these 3 problems. And you do these 3 problems. And I'm going to watch you do them. From the very beginning of the year, those students knew. I would know if they knew how to do algebra. I would know as a teacher, am I conveying the right properties and principles to them so they get it? So they'd be helped in their work. Every week, those students sat beside me and did their work. Also, I gave them tests. I gave them tests and I graded those tests. And because if they got an A in my class, and most of them did, it was like, I want to give you a chance to be verified that you did your studies. You're a good student and you worked very hard. Now, when I gave out homework, I'd walk up to some of my students that were struggling, and I'd say, I want you to do the odd questions 1 through 9. But for my A+ students and my A students, I'd walk to the back room and I'd say, you're doing questions 53 through 78, every one of them. Oh, Mr. Hill, why does he get to do 1 through 9? Those are the easy ones, and I've got to do the hard ones. And I'd say, because I want to stretch everybody in my class. I want you to get better. And so as I taught, I wanted them to get better and better. So when I go to a church, I generally teach the treasurer. All the chapters in this book on, it's called Church and Nonprofit Tax and Financial Guide, put up by the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability. So every day, I'm there. I teach a chapter or 2 to them to make sure that they know what the difference between a restricted gift and a preference is. How many of you know the difference between a restricted gift and a preference? Yeah, 1. But all the rest of you give. So when you give, you put building fund on the memo of your check. Is it a preference or a restriction? And I work with churches to help them understand the difference between those 2. Does a donor designate or does the church designate? And the answer is the church designates. You can put a preference or you can do a restriction. Restrictions are tough, and they're hard to deal with. I had one church that accepted a restricted gift, temporary restricted gift for $50,000 for a church bell tower. The church had no intention of building the bell tower. The pastor came and the pastor left, and there's $50,000 sitting on the books going out, and the book said, "What's your plan for the $50,000? And they go, "We have no plan. We just like to get the interest dropping every year." I said, "That's unethical to take a gift you're not going to use. It's like burying your talent in the ground." But if you go back to the giver now, and he used it as a tax deduction several years ago, he's going to have to redo his taxes for several years back. It's not wise, it's not ethical to take gifts you're not going to use. Those are the kind of things that happen. Trust but verify. I like to say trust and verify. So the donor responsibilities, and this is where I want you to know, you're almost all of you are donors. You're Rotary, you're a donor. And a large number of you sit on bonds. How many of you are on the board of directors for a nonprofit? Yeah, and that's the way it was with me as well. When I was in Rotary in Alaska, those who were there, we were usually on 3 or 4 different boards. And I didn't know then what I know now about my responsibility as a board of director to ask for that audit, to ask for that examination. It should never come from anyone who is paid staff. Your treasurer should never say, "Here's the auditor I have for you." That is a board responsibility. It is not a treasurer responsibility. Your treasurer should never say, "We don't need an audit this year." It is your responsibility as board members to say, "It is something our Constitution requires and I'm responsible to do, and we will select an auditor, an examiner, to do those kind of things." So that's what's going on there. So I want you to speak up. So Micah 6:8 is one of my favorite verses when I do audits and when I catch people doing fraud, which in Texas has been about 1 out of every 3 audits I've been doing in Texas. I haven't had. I usually bring this verse up, Micah 6:8, which is, "Do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God." And this is not a 1, 2, 3. Do 1, then 2, then 3. It's really saying do all 3 of these all at the same time. So when I tell people that your treasurer has been stealing from the church, or in one case, the pastor had been allocating special gifts to his own private projects, when I see those kind of things, I want the church to do justice. So I work with our police. I work with district attorneys. I want to make sure that the church or the nonprofit is involved in that process in a beneficial way. So I want to make sure that that happens. But I want to be kind to that person, realizing that the fraud triangle has not only knowledge, pressure, but also has rationalization. Most of these people have committed fraud, have rationalized it. They look at it and they go, "My son is sick with leukemia. I don't have money for the medication, and the church doesn't pay me enough. And so therefore I've taken a little bit of liberty here." So those kind of rationalizations creep in. And I want to be kind and gentle, let them know that we do have a God that forgives. But I also want them to know that there's justice. And that they may have to pay the church back. They may have to serve some time in prison. And I'm okay with that, actually. I think people can grow through life experiences. Being responsible is really not a bad thing. So with my mission, or any CPA firm that is out there that specializes in nonprofits, you want to make sure that you have objective assurance. Not just someone coming up and saying, "Yeah, you can trust me, this is good stuff here," okay? You want to have specific advice. I always give advice based on the standards set forth by the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability. And you want to do effective risk management. So I want to make sure that the size of that congregation, the size of that